New Japan in the U.S., which which we cover week to week pretty extensively. In Japan, it's kind of somewhat of a mystery, even going through their quarterly reports. I know that your passion for pro wrestling, one of which was Horisu, especially All Japan, but with their stock, as much as you're following Bushi Road on the Nikkei, I was going to say Wall Street Road woes, but really on the Nikkei, being down 50%, there seems to be a lot of going on operationally in the company to cause problems. What's your outlook on the company overall at the moment? And how do you think they're positioned in the U.S.? I almost gave up on them, and then they're like, okay, we just sold 5,000 tickets to a show in Chicago.
Yeah, it really looks to me like a company that's losing all of its talent to AEW. I've had some thoughts lately about, I remember the relationship between New Japan and Ring of Honor, how he sort of felt like, it's kind of a Trojan horse situation in that, Ring of Honor was helped in the short term from their relationship with New Japan. I think you could argue that maybe they weren't helped in the long term, although maybe there were other factors with Sinclair that was going to make this sort of what Ring of Honor ended up being inevitable. But it kind of feels like it's vice versa in the case of New Japan and AEW, in that Okada is going to AEW, Will Ospreay is going to AEW. It's probably, I'm not the best person to talk about New Japan, but it's probably going to be a different era for New Japan in terms of there might be a limit to how far certain talent will go with them. If we're even seeing Japanese talent, Japanese-born talent like Okada go over, and Nakamura years ago went over to other bigger U.S.-based companies. But they're definitely in a position where they need to create stars, and they have some younger wrestlers who people look to be the stars of the future that really need to start stepping up and being given the opportunity to step up.
So in taking or utilizing probably WrestleTix data in terms of events for AEW, sort of as a different comparison point. So it seems like now, if we can look at maybe just a couple events, recent events as an example, maybe New Japan in the US, if they promote it at its best and they use AEW talent, that they can be above the lowest drawing AEW shows. Is that sort of the best way to categorize it hierarchically? New Japan, in terms of its biggest guns, using AEW as well, can be just above the bottom level AEW show, but then AEW will be above that for other shows.
That sounds right to me. Yeah, I mean, there's clearly some novelty value for hardcore wrestling fans to come into Chicago if they're not already there and see an occasional peak show that is the authentic product that they watch on streaming that they can't see elsewhere. It does make you wonder, the movement of Okada and Ospreay over from New Japan to AEW. Yeah, it's probably the long term good thing to do if you're AEW. In one case, though, what's the value of Forbidden Door if you've already got all the top stars who were the novelties in the first two pay-per-views of Forbidden Door? What are you going to have left this coming June when they do Forbidden Door again? You got Naito over there, I guess, still, and there are others. But my point is the major stars are now your own full time.